Are you listening? Because that's our topic right now. We're going to talk about listening with Mike Coleman, Senior Sports Director at the Brandywine Y of Delaware. We're going to talk about listening and what he has to deal with in his professional life, people he has to deal with when he's listening, how he deals with that, and we ultimately hope you're listening.
Yep. Well, one of the things I have to deal with when it comes to listening is I usually work with kids, youth, whether that's 5 to 17, and adults, and then also seniors. So that's some of the things I have to deal with. It's not that it's difficult. Sometimes it can be challenging because I got to put on different hats listening to them. So if it's kids who are at my summer camp, those are usually between 5 and 13. It's different with them, listening to them, because I got to kind of eye level with them, not be intimidating. And sometimes I gotta let them talk more and kind of, understand more, because some of them, their language is not as sophisticated as anybody else. And then dealing with adults, it's more dealing with my peers and talking with them, especially the parents. In some situations, it's a tense situation, so it's just letting them get it out, let them say what they need to say, and also after I hear what they say, reiterating what they told me, so I can kind of let them know that, hey, I'm listening, I'm trying to do something about this, and usually ends up coming out in your favor because they know you're listening to them. And if it's seniors, sometimes we get a lot of seniors in our building, and they just want to sit there and tell you a story about whatever, and usually it's hilarious. And the funny thing is, when you really listen, you learn something.
Right.
So that sometimes those are my favorite ones, are the little kids, and then the seniors, because you really do. Little kids, you learn stuff about. I have no idea what they know about, and then the seniors,
They're brutally honest.
Yep,
right?
And then the seniors, it's some of them are my parents' age and stuff. So it's some stories I've heard or ears, and things that I've heard.
Yeah.
But it's always good to hear because they're trying to tell you something.
Sure.
They're trying to give you some education. So for me, those are valuable.
Sure.
Conversations, and just like I said, you got to make sure you're listening, and if you really listen, you learn.
Yeah. So listening to learn is a big thing. A lot of people listen to talk. They listen to comprehend or understand. And then other people just listen to hear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are three things. Talk to us a little bit about, at the Y, in your role, what you're doing with listening.
Well, listening, one of the things, trainings that I haven't done as much when I first got there, it was a training called Listen First, and exactly what it sounds like. Listen first. So you really, and it doesn't matter what the conversation is, positive, negative, whatever. You really listen to what the person says, and the way you let the person know what they're saying is you come back and reiterate what they said. So that lets them know you're listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
You maybe even use their name while you're doing it, and then you come back at them with a open-ended question instead of a yes/no thing, an open-ended one. So it kind of lets them get out what they need to say.
Sure. So we're talking to interns here, mostly students, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that they have to learn is when to talk, but ultimately when to listen. So if you know when to talk, it's because you've listened, kind of thing. It's like one of those weird things. And nobody ever says, hey, I want you to listen, then you can talk. It's natural social scenes, right? So what would you give in terms of advice to a student interning, or, you get your first job and you're going to start at a new place, in a new role, entry level, lowest tier, in terms of listening?
I would say watch those people that you respect, or who are kind of your mentors. Kind of watch how they do it, because whoever's your mentor, who you look up to, you like what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing would be watch what they do and kind of practice it with different. You're out one night just hanging with your friends or whatever. Practice there. Practice starting conversation with people that you're comfortable with. And eventually it'll get there. I'm still not the most comfortable person speaking to people I don't know, but I know how to do it. And one of the things I try to do is, by listening, where's that hook? Where's that hook between me and that person? Especially if I'm doing something like fundraising. If I'm talking to them, okay, did we go to the same college? Do we like the same teams? Did we come from the same area? Did they come from somewhere a family member went to. Something where you can find that hook to talk about. Then it kind of puts everybody at ease.
Sure. Well, that's what we have for listening. We hope that you heard some things, that you comprehended, and that you can put these into play for yourself. We're going to talk more about listening after this video, but start to take some of the stuff that Mike mentioned in his everyday life into yours. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.